tell me a bit about going from making a short to turning this into a full-fledged film, because that's...
It actually is much less stress making the feature than it is the short. We'd always had in mind when we did the short that we were going to do the feature and use some of the footage from that. So it wasn't that, the challenge really was is getting the script correct and making sure the arc and the characters and everybody had the proper arcs for their characters. But after we discovered that, the wonderful thing about shooting the short is that we already had a look and feel established. So we walked in with 90% of the same team, and ultimately we're in good shape.
And then the other interesting thing is bringing in some, the same cast members.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. So, getting them up to speed, it must be...
Well, they already knew who their characters were. They already knew what their motivations were. We changed up a little bit. We added an extra 20 principal actors, but ultimately we cast those very much like archetypes of the characters. So we cast specifically for them. So they didn't have to stretch too far from beyond a character that they knew very well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, in terms of getting the story, what was the difficult parts of expanding that story into the film?
Finding a connection between all the characters and having a singular idea, in which we landed on, which is the sense of home. What does the sense of home mean? What does the sense of home mean for each character? So it was trying to find those connections that all come together at the end. So that was always the challenge, which we ended up accomplishing quite well.
That's cool. So otherwise, in terms of filmmaking, I do find it interesting that it seems there's a lot more indie film being developed right now. What's your perspective on that?
Well, I think it's great. I think we're always challenged by budgets and ideas and living in a system that is incredibly supportive, but with that support comes limitations, and so it's trying to create something great and big out of the limitations of your budget and your availability of actors and all those different things. So I think it's the country's on a real trajectory with new filmmakers and new directors that I'm very jealous of their talent and doing something bigger and better. And I think it kind of started with Hobo with Shotgun. I think it really kind of brought attention to the country and realized filmmakers just weren't doing these two-person across the country travel movies, and that we actually had larger visions than that.
And is it easier making a film now than it has been for your perspective?
Well, this is my first feature, so and I've only done 3 other shorts. The only thing that gets easier is your own technique and how you communicate to people. So ultimately, you want to. It's never easier. I think with the technology, we've been able to expand our visions now, especially through animation and the use of mixing those two things together, that have really helped increase the scope of our projects and allow ourselves to think visually and what we'd really like in those pictures.
And in terms of this, coming to the screen, do you hope that people see the short first, or would you rather them come in fresh?
Well, I said this the other day. We were at TIFF, premiere at TIFF, and at Cannes and Palm Springs. We won the Directors Guild Award, but I still only honestly think about 1,500 people have actually seen the whole short. So now I want them to see the feature because I believe it's like a true representation of the vision that I wanted originally. So I prefer them to see that, but it's always nice to go back and see where the origins of those things came from.
And maybe see the big screen, and then maybe go back and see the short after.
Exactly.
Well, good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Tell us a little bit about your character.
I play John in Patchtown, and John is he's our hero of the film. He's one of the many workers that lives in Patchtown, but he's different in that he can remember the past and what has happened to him, and so he kind of goes in search of his past and a better life for his family.
Right. And it's really interesting being on set because, we were just talking about the fact that you see a lot of different stuff filmed in Ontario, but we don't get a lot of different kind of genre stuff.
No. This is a very Tim Burton meets Terry Gilliam type feel, and there's not a lot of that going on in Canada in the indie scene. So it's great to be a part of something like this.
What's been the most interesting part of filming this story?
Because it is an independent film, it's obviously it's a very small budget. Right. So managing that and coming up with very creative ideas of how to shoot and how to work around certain things has been very challenging and rewarding at the same time.
Where do you think things are going from the standpoint of independent in Ontario? Have you seen a lot of growth over the last few years?
I think so, yeah. I think things are coming up. People are willing to take more chances, and the people with the money are willing to take more chances and are very interested in stuff like that. So yeah, all signs point to up.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Do you playing this role, what's your favorite part about getting into this interesting character? Because it's an interesting angle.
Yeah, I've really only played like, the bully or the class clown or stuff like that. So the most interesting part has kind of just been letting it go and dive into the world of Patchtown. I remember going over the script with our director Craig Goodwill, and there was this one line, and I said, I'm having trouble with it because it sounds so Braveheart-y. And he was like, well, because it is. It's supposed to be like that. And so letting myself just dive into that has been the most challenging part so far, but most rewarding as well. I've been able to be part of this whole transition as well. I just went out for a regular audition. My agent called me and he said, I have this script. It's kind of weird. It's a short film. Read it and let me know what you think. And I read it, and I feel bad about saying this now. I threw it out. I thought, this is too weird. This is not for me. And I woke up the next morning and I picked it back out of the garbage, and I thought, you know what? There's something here. There's a really good story in here. There's an excellent character progression in here. Right. And so I went out for the audition, and it was one of the best things I ever did. And I've been very fortunate enough to be a part of this whole ride. It's been on going to TIFF and Palm Springs and Cannes. And here we are now.
Did Craig actually say at some point, okay, look, we've done the short, gotta do the full thing? Did he?
As soon as we finished the short, I think, and we saw sort of the reception it was getting, everyone kind of thought it might be possible to do that. We might be able to make a feature out of this, and it's definitely. It's really helped the story too, because there's just so much. It's expanded so well, and there's so much more to draw from.
That's very cool. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm the evil head of the puppet factory, I guess you could call it, of Patchtown, the son of the original founder of the toy factory, and I also play his father. That didn't really make much sense. Can you
should have started with that.
And I act in the same way. It's kind of confusing. But anyway, no. Over to you, Suresh.
I play the smuggler or coyote who brings people out of Patchtown and then is forced to bring them back against his will. Mercenary. I'm the Han Solo, if you will. Yes. If there is a Han Solo in this movie, I'm the Han Solo.
Nice. So, it's an interesting thing going from a short film into a full film. What did you guys think of that transition, I guess?
Well, I can speak to it a little bit because I was in the short, and I was aware that when we shot it, there were all these fantastic ideas crammed into a 20-something minute film, and it almost felt like overburdened at times with great ideas. But the beauty of the feature is that we're able to expand on those ideas and achieve a kind of a medium where there's a comfortable space to tell all the different things, because it's big. There's songs, there's extraordinary characters, there's big story arcs, so it feels like it's the right form.
Right. But you're a newcomer, so what's it like for you? Did you see the original?
I haven't yet. At this point I thought it would be counterproductive to watch it and try to match something, but I will definitely watch it once everything's finished, and then maybe view the feature right after to see how it matches up, because I think there's some short pieces of this short that are being interpolated into the feature, and it'll be interesting to see. But my character wasn't in the short one, so it's not hard for me to play out. I'm unfettered. So I just base it on Han Solo. Instead of studying the short, I watch the first 3 Star Wars films.
What's it been like now? Obviously it's an independent production. It's really interesting being in this building that's used, previous sets, basically. I mean, what's the production been like in terms of that environment?
Well, it's the building where there's the ghosts of Toronto film for the last 20 years. It's great, and it feels appropriate. We're just in there picking pockets and doing little things and taking advantage of what's there. I mean, it's a very bare bones production, but it means that everybody's on the same page and collaborating.
Right. Is it, you know, an interesting growth for you guys? Because to me, it seems like there's more independent production now than there has been in maybe some years. And have you guys, have you seen that, or what's it been like for you guys?
The last movie like this I did was probably 2 years ago, but it was contained in a different studio. But the same aesthetic applied, and everyone was on the same page, and there were no trailers, and everyone was in a communal area, even when they were not shooting. So I think that's beneficial to the collaborative process.
Right.
That's my view.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've done quite a few independent films, particularly shorts. For some reason I've done like 10 shorts in the last 2 or 3 years. And obviously those are bare bones too, but there's a real sense of an emerging voice coming. And also a sensitivity from ACTRA, from different unions, and also some of the production supply houses where they recognize, yeah, this is, we have to help out, we have to focus on this, because it's not about huge budgets, it's about an emerging infrastructure.
Right. And it's interesting because I've heard that same thing mirrored in terms of small business, that people are saying small and mid-sized businesses are kind of the growth for the rest of the industry.
Yeah, it's a bit of a cliche, but I mean, this is the entrepreneurial part of the film industry, and it's alive and kicking, and it's exciting to be part of it.
That's awesome. So in terms of the show, what's been your favorite part of the filming of this really interesting story? It's got such a great angle.
I had to do some driving, which is very contentious.
He doesn't drive.
And I don't drive. And that was interesting for everyone involved, including the stunt coordinator and the camera car.
So it actually was a stunt, in other words.
It was a stunt, and I broke it was a 1956 red panel van, 4-speed transmission that I had never driven standard prior to that, so that was very interesting for me. And I think a bit of a calamity for everyone involved. But it was fun, and it was outside, and we were driving around. It was exciting.
And I had to sing, and I don't sing.
Really?
So there you go. So
that went better
was
than my
calamitous. Well, I do my very best sort of talk speaking, my kind of somewhere between Rex Harrison and Burt Lahr, kind of speaking of music. Somewhere there. Again, it's written in that way, so it's kind of fun to explore the different ways of the songs used, again, very specifically in the movie, and each character has a very particular way of articulating their inner thoughts. So that's another thing that's exciting for me, is to actually get a sense of the way that it's being presented. It's an unusual story, but there's a kind of a unifying visual image that's emerging.